Hey, what's going on, everybody? I promised you guys a quick thread locking tutorial. I don't even remember, a couple weeks ago, and it's been a busy couple of weeks. So, get yourself step one, nice beverage. This is a Wrench IPA out of New York, Industrial Arts Brewing. This is nice Mosaic Citra. Mm, Juice bomb right there. Anyways, let's get to the point. Vibra-Tite. What is Vibra-Tite? Vibra-Tite is a great company that makes thread lockers. Okay, so thread lockers are basically like glue that you apply to your screws that helps your knives stay together. Because over time, in constant motion and pivoting and screws like to loosen. Okay, especially on butterfly knives. If you've never had trainers or balisongs before, you will learn very quickly that these screws here like to come loose if they're not thread locked. The reason why we don't thread lock these on this model from the factory is because we include a live blade and a practice dull blade. So we don't want to cause problems for our customers because sometimes people like certain tension torque settings on their pivot screws. Sometimes people only like the live blade. Sometimes people only like the dull blade. If they buy the package deal, they want to have the option. We would recommend the blue. Now the blue is semi-permanent, so this is the one that you can usually break with a screwdriver. The red is one that you're going to be able to break only if you heat it up. So you're going to need a soldering iron. You're going to need to either apply heat from the soldering iron or maybe a lighter or match onto the screw to melt the thread locker before you can then crack it loose with your screwdriver. The reason why I love Vibra-Tite is because I've had the Permatex and the Loctite brand thread lockers and I've used them and they're just sloppy. They drip. They don't seem to ever adhere properly. Um, I got a knife here that I've owned this since I was like, I don't know, 17, 18 years old. This one's got a very weird screw. It's like a H2 hex head. It's got a strange looking, it's a made in Taiwan hidden button switchblade, uh, dual action. So I have a video on it if you check out our channel. The threads on this pivot screw look pretty decent, but I'm gonna, just to be safe, step two after you get your good beverage is to obviously loosen the screw. Okay, real complicated stuff. If you can't get that far, you don't know how to turn a screwdriver. Just shut the video off. Just forget it. Just run away. Okay. Step three: clean the threads if applicable. If this is necessary, if your knife is brand new, a lot of times the threads are pretty clean, but rubbing alcohol will do the trick. Okay. Once you clean the threads with some rubbing alcohol, you can also get crazy and you can, make a twisty Q-tip type doohickey and get inside the female side of the screw and clean out the interior of that as well. That's how you be totally 110% anal, okay, about your thread locking. If you want to take it that far, you're going to get the best bond. Right now, this is pretty clean. I'm going to just use the dry side of my rag and clean off the threads the rest of the way. Alcohol has a tendency of drying super quickly. Okay, you can shake it your hand for a few seconds. If you really want to be thorough, go drink another sip of beer. All right, next, step two: apply your thread locker. Doesn't take very much. One of these little tubes, I mean, they're super cheap for the amount that you get out of them. This tube here, I think I've done like at least 80 to 100 knives already, and it's still going. So just a tiny little dab. Now, I didn't even go around on the other side. That's gonna spread once you screw it in. So I'm gonna hold my knife here, show you guys, get it started. Grab my screwdriver. Is this step 4 or 5? I lost track. I don't know. Tighten down your screw to the proper torque setting. Now, the proper torque setting is going to matter to how you like your knife. Make sure that there's, on a folder, you're going to have to make sure that there's no blade play, there's no lock rock. This one's got a little rock because this is a super old beater knife that I've used for many moons. And you're all set. Now, the hardest part about this whole process right now is don't touch your knife for like a day, okay? Let it dry. Let it cure, let it settle. That's the toughest part. Patience. Patience is a virtue. One day is not going to kill you, especially if you got a fun new butterfly knife that you just spent $30 or $40 on, and oh, I can't wait to flip it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a lot of fun. You can play with it a little bit, but you're going to have to really keep a close eye on your screws. So let's demonstrate the Balisong method. Okay, it's the same thing that we just did on the folding knife. Only difference is here, this is a T9 Torx. Screws are looking pretty clean. I'm holding my finger over the backside, okay, because I don't want those screws to fall out. Because you've got the screw, and then you've got the nylon washer, and then you've got the blade, and then another washer, and then the screw pops through, see? The handle seats right on top of there. And then you've got your screws that you need to thread lock. So for this one, I'm going to do it as a surprise to the next person that buys this one. Apply some more Vibra-Tite. There we go. And, you know, once you've thread locked a screw, I mean, if you take it apart and you pop the, you know, let's say you just wanted to swap blades to the live blade for a little while and then eventually put it back, you can kind of reuse the residue that's on the screw threads, and it'll still hold better than nothing. You're always better to kind of like start from scratch and clean it off, but sometimes you can kind of get away with it. Some people use Teflon tape, but I find it to be very difficult to use Teflon tape because there's such tiny little screws, and Teflon tape is wide and you have to trim it down, and yeah, it's instantly ready to go, but this stuff is just awesome as long as you can wait a day, okay? Now, if you can have the patience to wait one day, play with one of your other knives for 24 hours, you'll be okay. You'll make it. So my wife would say to me, "Are you going to make it? Are you going to make it?" All right. The second screw is now dabbed. As you put it into the screw hole, just make sure that you don't try not to get it on the handle scales. Make a sloppy mess. And then after this point, now you're going to test your handles. Now I over torqued this a little bit. It's not dropping to my liking. Once you get a decent slide going on, I hold the blade in my right hand, and then I'm just dropping. This is still a little tight for my liking, so I'm going to go like another eighth of a turn back. Make sure the handles fall like they should. Kind of like, you'll get a feel for it. And then once you get to that point, you can give it a flip. If I can do this without, you know, smacking everything on the table here. I got a tight little workspace I'm working with here. Now is when I would lube the knife. So if you don't have a fancy lube bottle like this one here, we sell them. I mean, if you need them, they're pretty cheap. But you can use anything that you have. This nice needle tip applicator just makes life so easy, especially when you got to reapply the lube, you know, month after month. Just a tiny little drop, and then let gravity do its thing. And you're going to start to see how buttery smooth this thing is once you lube it. It's just so smooth. It's like, feels like the thing just instantly got bearings, you know. So lube is important. Remember that. Lube, it's important. For knives, I'm talking about. You guys are dirty, I swear. So this is our new spring latch version. Our budget banger with the grippy handle scales. If you want to check it out, I'm going to leave a linky in the description. You guys can check it out. We also have the Vibra-Tite there. We're going to probably make a package with both the red and the blue in case people want the variety pack, because some knives you aren't going to change the blade. Why not just go with the red once you get practice under your belt and you're confident in your Vibra-Titing skills? We might be able to, you know, obviously save you guys some money too by packaging both of them together, combined shipping and whatnot. If you need screwdriver sets, we've got screwdrivers, we've got Torx bits, we've got Allen bits, we've got everything that you could possibly need for your knife maintenance. Soon we're going to have brass washer replacement kits and copper washers, things like that. Stay tuned for, make sure you sub us if you want to check out some more content about pocket knives, about everyday carry, and all sorts of other random things. But thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate you. I really do. Have a great day.